Challenge yourself to change lives with the Big Belt Buckle Challenge. They make a no-strings-attached charitable donation when participants complete one or all of the 6 athletic challenges. In doing so, they aim to build a worldwide community that transcends sport and encourages people to make a positive lifestyle change while helping those in need. For 2023, a difficult but doable set of challenges has been created by Jeff Privete himself. They have all been inspired by his personal experiences throughout 2022. The events can be done in any order, and with the exception of the Road Gravel Challenge, there is no time limit for completion of a given event. All you have to do is make it through. Completing all 6 will require an incredible amount of dedication, courage, and a willingness to embrace the journey, regardless of the outcome. Won't you join Jeff at thebigbeltbucklechallenge.org? This is the Big Belt Buckle Challenge. Hello and welcome to the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. Jim Riley here with Rod Kuntz. Rod, how's it going this week?
Wonderful, Jim. Every day's better than the last.
You know what? No doubt today is better than yesterday. The weather outside is amazing. Amazing. Yes. Not to rub it in, I don't know where you're listening from, but Montana weather on September 14th is one of the best days so far of the whole summer. It's just perfect blue skies. You know, they're not kidding when they say blue sky Montana.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time of year. And I always like it because things calm down, quiet down. The tourist traffic is, well, there's still a little bit, but not like it was. And we get our playground back.
Yes, we do.
It's all ours now.
Yes, we do. A little shout out to my friend Tony Scarponi and his fiance Kelly. They're getting married tomorrow. So tonight we're going to the welcome dinner reception for all the guests that have come to town. And then tomorrow night they're going to get married. So by the time you hear this, they will be married. So congratulations, Tony. And what a perfect day to have the ceremonies today and tomorrow. So anyways.
Absolutely.
Okay, Rod, you know, I got a topic.
You always do, Jim.
You're going to love this. And if you are 30 and younger, maybe even 35 now and younger, I really want you to listen to this show because we have an epidemic in this country. And what that is the lack of, and the topic is work ethic. Work ethic. So I got to tell you this story. And this came to mind yesterday. Well, actually came to mind a week ago. And then again, yesterday and this morning. And I'm completely baffled by the lack of work ethic and the level of importance people have placed on a job. And I don't know if I want to blame the actual employee or person, or blame society or the new norms or the lack of leadership in the household to teach and educate your kids what work ethic is and what it means to work, and really the luxury of having a job that more than likely pays well or good enough that you can turn into something more in life. So here's the story. This happened in 2011, 2012, running my tequila company. I hired a guy. He was phenomenal. I hired him out of Starbucks. He was that kid that every day, served me and just had the great personality, knew my name, knew everybody's name, and finally I said, dude, you got to come work for me. And which he did. And he delivered. And I don't know how long he was working well for me, but he winds up calling in sick. And, next day he calls in sick and then he calls, he says, I'm going to need the next 2 weeks off. I'm like, yeah, well, whatever you need. Like, I'm all about accommodating employees, probably an emergency, something serious going on. And he winds up coming back to work a couple weeks later. I said, hey, is everything good? And like, are you okay? Your family, I didn't ask him any questions. He says, yeah, this was having a really hard time. And at the time, I think he was probably 21, 22. He says, I'd broken up with my girlfriend. I just couldn't handle it. I said, whoa, how long were you guys together? About a month. I was like, what? I said, I'm okay. All right. I let it go. right? I let it go. But I'll never forget. I mean, look, I understand that we all go through things in life. And I understand that when we're young, we have emotions and feelings, and everybody handles things differently. But I don't see being able to have an emotional connection with somebody in less than a month that's going to require 2 weeks of work off. And by the way, I don't even know if that's healthy. Like maybe it would be best to spend some time grinding away and kind of getting your mind off of the breakup and all those things. And Rod, I hope you give me a good rebuttal on this, because I want to be wrong, more compassionate maybe. But I never forgot about that. I was like, man, where's the grit? Where's the mental fortitude and the support group and the family that says, hey, look, it's going to be okay. You're young. You got your whole life in front of you. I mean, look, people, I found the love of my life at 46 years old, something like that. I'm not going to do the math right now. Actually, it was less than that, 43. There's plenty of time to live your life. So I kind of put that away for a long time. Well, 2 weeks ago, I'm consulting for a business here in Montana, and a young man called in sick for a few days, and come to find out, he'd broken up with his girlfriend. Needed some days off to get over it. So I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Well, then yesterday, same business, another kid, young adult, called in sick, had broken up with their boyfriend. Needed some time off. And I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. So there's more that I want to discuss about work ethic. But Rod, what are your initial thoughts? Am I not being compassionate enough? Obviously, there's a number of circumstances surrounding each one of these individuals, and emotions flaring in different ages, most of them under 22 years old. I'm just not understanding it. What are your thoughts?
Holy smokes. This is the topic you spring on me? I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but I do have my own experience, and not only my own personal experience, but experience in the world. I'm over 60 years old, so I've been around the block a time or five, and this is what it is. It's a lack of emotional maturity, and that's it. I don't know as that crosses over into the work ethic line, but emotional immaturity will screw up your priorities. That's what I see going on here. I think that if you can't bridle, curtail, be in charge of your emotions, then your emotions are going to be in charge of you. And that is going to set off that balance of what your priorities actually are. And
okay, so I'm hypothetical. I'm 18. I'm listening to this show right now and going, well, that doesn't seem like such a bad deal, but I understand what you're saying, Rod. Emotional immaturity. Where do I get more from? What if it's not being provided to them in their current circumstance, whether that's home, church, school, counselors, friends, relatives, etc.? Where do you get emotional maturity to overcome these types of obstacles in life?
Well, part of it is you need to talk to other people, and especially, I know that bosses, supervisors, and that sort of thing are not counselors, but a lot of places have HR departments, and they have employee assistance programs and that sort of thing. And the whole goal with those is to keep you working while you're working on yourself, right? And so it's an obligation. And I think if we allow it as employers, right, if we just allow that, and then then you're going to allow it the next breakup too. What you get 2 weeks off a year after you've been there for a year. Let's say these are your benefits, and you get 3 sick days, right? And you burn your sick days because you have the sniffles, and then you burned your 2-week vacation already because you had to go to the Bahamas with your friends at spring break, and then all of a sudden you have a breakup after spring break, and now you want another 2 weeks off? No, you're fired. I don't care if he knows everyone's name and if he's a good employee. You cut him loose, and you find somebody who can stay there for the course. I don't know. I think we can't do this entitlement thing, and we can't do this coddling thing. It's adulthood. You have to grow up, and you can rely on people to get through those. And the other thing is it's just temporary.
Yeah.
Everything is temporary. A breakup is temporary. Jim, I was married for 9 years, had a child, went through and my ex-wife was a lawyer, went through a terrible divorce. It was ugly, right? I moved half of everything. I split everything up, moved it out of the house over a weekend, and never missed a day of work.
Yeah.
And moved on with my life, being a single dad, going through legal stuff. You can do hard things, and that's part of how you get stronger.
And Rod, by the way, probably to give you some more credit, I mean, look, I went through a divorce after 19 years. She wasn't an attorney, and then it was a very amicable divorce, but it was emotionally draining, emotionally hard. Even though it sounds like you had a ferocious divorce with an ex-attorney, there's still emotional toll regardless, that
absolutely
you still have to overcome and make time for that in and around your other obligations in life. That's how I look at it. I didn't miss any work either. Did I struggle? Yeah. I got home every day from work struggling. It took me almost a year to get through it, probably more. But I didn't miss work, because that is, to me, that's an obligation that I made. And in my case, I owned the company. I made an obligation to be a provider for my employees. I couldn't miss a day of work because I had obligations.
Right. Well, and even if you don't have those obligations as an employer, you still have the obligation as an employee,
right,
to the rest of the crew, to your boss, and most importantly, to yourself. If you find something else to do and think about while you're going through, yeah, it's difficult. I get it. It was a hard time. But if you're focused on something else and somebody else and duties outside of yourself, that's what helps you get over it. What are you going to do if you go home and you take 2 weeks off? You're going to sit there and mope and cry and, go, woe is me.
Yeah.
Put yourself into somebody else's care for a minute. And if that means it's your job, then do that and work harder. It'll get you through it faster.
Yeah. I'm going to go on a quick rabbit hole tour here, because I don't know. I just feel that this needs to be said. And this is going to be for my younger audience. I know for a fact the person that had called in sick yesterday is under 18. And, we're talking about 3 different young adults that all had emotional breakups that required them in their minds to take time off. Okay. So going off of that, this is what I want to say. I am a firm believer that when we're in a relationship with somebody, especially at a young age, that it should strictly be of a platonic nature. In other words, save the intimacy for marriage. Because when we give ourselves to another human being, and I'm talking about in a sexual nature or in a very passionate nature, when we give ourselves to another human being, we're literally giving a part of ourselves to them. And when that breakup happens, if it happens at a young, tender age, it's like pulling shreds of your soul apart. And that's why, in my opinion, why some of these young adults suffer so badly from breakups, or from confidence, from anxiety, and all these other things, is that we're so willing and quick to give ourselves to another human being on a high level of emotion pre-marriage, and really sometimes as early as the age of 13, 12, 13, 14, 15, things that I've seen happening in schools and sexual relations. When you give yourself to somebody and that breakup happens, you're going to have those emotional challenges, and you are tearing away little pieces of your soul. So my rabbit hole advice is, please tone your level of sexual activities and passionate giving to your mate, and keep it platonic. Save it for marriage, and just imagine that gift that you can give your spouse once you get married, and that's the gift of intimacy. And you will not go through these high level emotions at a young age where it's going to require you to call in sick to work for days or weeks at a time. It's going to require you high levels of anxiety or insecurities and all these other things. So I'm sorry if this offends you, but I am a huge believer in maintaining a relationship at a distance until you get married. So Rod, that's why I believe that maybe that's why we're experiencing some of these emotional breakups that requires people to take time off.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because you're absolutely right. Number one, it's so true. And in today's social environment, with the media, with all the messaging that's out there, the casual. Here's the thing: if you're a young person out there, there is no such thing as casual sex.
Yeah,
there is not. It's a fallacy, and it's a nightmare. Is what it is. There are dream relationships. I have a dream relationship with my wife. We are soul connected. And I don't want to use that soulmate thing, because you can connect to other souls that may not be your best mate. I am connected to the one that's best for me. And I got very, very lucky. But you can't be going through people like cars.
Yeah.
That's not what it's all about. And you do get emotionally connected, solely connected when you're intimate. There's no question, Jim. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a reality. And it's a reality that is overlooked by the media. It's overlooked by the entertainment industry. And they glorify these casual hookup relationships. And it's to your demise. If you're a young person, pull off of that and get off that train. That train is going to derail. And the first derailment is going to be you're missing work because you can't handle it. That's the first derailment. It's going to get worse from here. If you're already derailed by a casual relationship because you're being intimate, it's going to get worse for you, not better.
Yeah. Yep. That's the dummy tax that's been paid, at least from my side. I'm going to close this little sidebar rabbit trail, little excerpt from this book, which I have purchased and given to many dads to hand down to their sons, mainly because of the title, but it does apply to daughters. And the book is called Why Guys Need God by Mike Erre, E-R-R-E. And it's the spiritual side of money, sex, and relationships. And I'm not asking people to be spiritual here. And if they would just humor the topic for a minute, why guys need God. Here's just a little excerpt, and it's about the falling of us as a society. It says, when we look at all the carnage, loneliness, and alienation in relationships and sexuality in our culture, the movie stars with perfect bodies and fame and fortune, but who can't seem to stay married, for example, we each somehow delude ourselves into thinking that it will be different with us. This is the lie, right? So grab the book. I don't really care how old you are. Grab the book, read it, pass it on, and spread the word. I just have a feeling, I always like to look at what could be the source of our problem. So if we've got kids calling in sick because of breakups after a month, or pre-marriage, maybe there's more to it. And this could just be one of the symptoms of that. So let's expand a little bit on work ethic, though, while we're at it, if you don't mind. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, putting in a hard day's work and the value of that. And I even brought up this quote recently from my brother. I asked him, what attributes to your success at In-N-Out Burger? And ultimately, he became the CEO and the trustee of the company. He was there for 35 years in leadership and took the company where it's at today. He said, Jim, I always worked hard so that if they had to have a layoff, I'd be the last guy they let go. I wanted to be known as the guy that was the hardest worker. And it's great advice for any scenario. Be the hardest worker, do your work with pride and joy, and realize, hey, first of all, chances are you put in an application and you ask for the job. All right. So now you're there, you got the job, you're getting a paycheck. Why not give them the best you have to offer? And then, let that dictate your future. Now, let's just say hypothetically, you've been down that road for a year and you're not satisfied anymore. There's no reason to stop giving them 100%. You can start looking for your next step or where you're going to go from there. But there's no reason to stop giving them 100%, because like I said, you asked for the job, you filled out the resume or the application, they're paying you, give them the best you got. You will never regret that. I've worked for some employers that I look back and they weren't the best employer, but I never regretted working the hardest I possibly could for them, because I felt good in myself that I gave them everything I had and they were still a shitty employer. Right. So I don't,
It's not about them. It's not about them. It's about you.
Yeah.
Right. What are you going to tolerate? And I'm glad you brought that up, because we did go off track on the emotional thing there, emotional immaturity, but that is tied to work ethic, because being more emotionally mature should automatically translate into a better work ethic. And let's put that onto your emotional or into your personal relationships, because like your brother, Jim, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. He was going to be the last one laid off. Do more than is expected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not just at work, do more than is expected in your relationships as well. Do more than is expected. And I put it this way. My goal is to help as many people become extraordinary, have ordinary people become extraordinary. That's my life's purpose. I want you to be extraordinary. If you're going to be extraordinary, you have to do extra. You don't do the minimum to get by. That's ordinary. If you want to be extraordinary, you do extra. So do extra. Put extra into your work. You don't have to go early and stay late. You have to do extra while you're there. And that just means doing the best you can and never letting off the gas. You've got to do it.
I just love that. You've said this a few times. You said it in our coaching call on Monday, about, if you're there from 9 to 5, that doesn't mean you got to be there a quarter till and stay a quarter after. But while you're there, do the extra.
Yes.
I used to interview not all, but I was part of a team that interviewed new employees for In-N-Out Burger. This is in the 90s. And, if you're familiar with the company, they are superior in all things customer service related and quality and stuff like that. But one of my interview questions, you want to set up some real life scenarios. Like, okay, you're scheduled to work at 5. You park in the far end of the parking lot where you're supposed to park, and you're walking in, you see trash on your way to the front door. What do? Less than half would say I'd pick it up and throw it in the can on the way in, right? The other half would be like, I don't know, get ready for my shift. And then a few would say, tell the manager. This is one of those opportunities. And this is just an easy black and white example. No, you pick up the trash. You're walking in anyhow. You care about the company. You care about the job. You care about the way that it looks where you work at. Grab the piece of trash and throw it in the trash can, which is more than likely right in front of you. And unfortunately, some customer couldn't see it, right? And when you start thinking about doing the extra, that's what's going to set you apart from everybody else, even if that is between your 9 to 5 scheduled time. Granted, in my scenario, it's before you probably clocked in, but you never know. Your boss, your manager could be sitting in his car on the phone, watching you walk across the parking lot, and either watches you walk right past the trash, not caring, or he watches you pick it up and throw it away. And those are the accolades that managers remember. Those are the habits that managers go, you know what? We got to lay off a couple people. There's no way I'm going to lay off Bobby. Every time he gets here, I see him picking up trash or doing the extra. It's not that hard at all.
It's not. It's also, this is one of those things where a good boss will go out there and plant trash, put a $5 bill underneath the bag. So when someone picks up the trash, they get a $5 reward just for doing the right thing. So you can be creative as well. Somebody's always watching. That's the other thing, Jim.
It's interesting, the concept of trash. There's trash everywhere. And I'll tell you, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, I want my businesses to be neat and tidy, and I want to represent, to the customer the best possible. When I have employees that go out of their way to ensure the same thing that I'm looking for, that I do myself, to me, that is the extra. You're at the water cooler filling up your paper cup, and you realize they're out of paper cups. If you're the person that goes and gets more, and restocks it and then throws away. It's the little things that set you apart. And oftentimes we don't even think about that. Well, it's somebody else's job to refill the cups. Why? They're probably in the cupboard right in front of you, or the trash can's overflowing with dirty cups. I'm sure that there's a big trash can in the closet. Like all these little things add up to be that extra, and in an employer's or an owner's mind sets you apart, because that gets you thinking about the bigger picture. And it's not, oh, that's his job versus my job. No, it's everybody's job to do a good job, right? And that is, I think that's the core of good work ethic.
Right. And you will be rewarded for it. I'm telling all the young people out there, if you don't think that you're getting enough money or that you're not appreciated, it's like Jim said, he's worked for bad bosses. I've worked for bad bosses. It doesn't matter. You are working for yourself. You're working for yourself. So do it for yourself. And speaking of trash, do it for the environment, for heaven's sake. Right.
Well, whatever.
Or do it, find a reason, but get it done.
It's interesting. Just kind of going down this work ethic road. I get more out of doing things that aren't in my job description than the ones that are, right? So when I've been asked to do something, I've been hired to do something, and I do all those things, I come and feel like, okay, I did exactly what they paid me to do. As an example, today I worked the forklift at one of these companies. So people come in like, Jim, I didn't know you were working here. What do you do for them? And, I'm stocking shelves or carrying stuff out to their car for them, or driving the forklift like today. I'm like, oh, I'm a business consultant. Well, why are you driving the forklift? Well, because it's needed. I'm here. They need somebody to drive the forklift. I learned how because I wanted to. First time in my life, I learned how a couple months ago, right? Now I'm adding more value. It's not even remotely close to my job description. When I look at my consulting, what I pitched to them, nowhere on there does it say forklift operator. But now I'm home and I'm going, damn, I unloaded 27 pallets yesterday and I did 4 more today and I got the job done. Yeah, I'm doing the other things that was in my proposal, but I sure feel good about driving that forklift. And that is the reward. And I think so many people miss out on that reward and opportunity.
Yes. Reward yourself. You're going to get the reward. So maybe that's it. And work ethic is so important. So important. It's the first thing in my book, The Warpath Alliance. W is for work ethic. So it's right up there on the top. If you don't get this right, you're going to have a tough time going through life. You better get the W straight.
All right, here's my closing line on the topic. And I just was going through this today over at the warehouse when we were talking about profitability and forecasting and strategy. And I love when I listen to Andy Frisella, his podcast, The Real AF, Pay the Fee. Andy, I just did. If you're listening, doubt it. But, he talks a lot about the importance of understanding our political environment, because our political environment affects our business environment and what's out there. We're into fall now. Fall's, I feel like, officially here, although it's not here on the calendar. Heading into fall, into winter, which means 2024 is right around the corner. And that is a massive, massive election year. Could be the most important election in the last 100 years. Which means we are going to see a lot of fallout in financial worlds, in consistencies, in ways people are doing business. They're going to pick their side of the aisle and they're going to, ram down our throats, whatever it is they're looking for. And that's both sides of the aisle, which means as business people, we need to be prepared for that. Look at anything, right? So I think this recession is going to continue on. Money's going to get tight. My advice this morning at our, business advice was, let's look at our items that are inexpensive, that sell well. We should probably load up on them, take advantage of any bulk discounts, because when things get tight, people are going to downgrade to something that's quality, but less expensive. That's my opinion. That's my advice there. But what that also means in relation to today's discussion, and I'll turn it over to you, Rod, is that be the last person to be laid off. Focus
Right.
on your work ethic and don't get laid off. When we hit hard times and companies are slowing down, expenses are getting high, and they start having to cut employees, don't be the first person they let go. If you are the first person they let go, you better take a hard look at your own work ethic and why they let you go. Okay. Make it impossible for them to let you go. And what that might even mean, and I've heard this excuse before, well, they let me go because I was in IT and they didn't need me anymore. Well, dude, if you were in IT, but you learned something about sales and something about marketing and you gave some input once in a while and you were a hard worker, they might say, hey, let's keep the IT guy because he understands marketing and sales. And maybe we can leverage all three of those through the internet. If there's a will, there's a way to be the most valuable employee in an organization and not get cut. So when recession gets worse, 2024 election cycle is full steam ahead. Have the work ethic. Don't get cut. That's my final statement on that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got nothing to add to that. To be prepared, number one, you have to be aware. You have to be aware. And if you want to dial back and put your head in the sand because you just don't want to hear all the stuff that's out there, you are making a mistake as a business person. You need to be aware of what's going on. I guarantee you that the United Auto Workers Union people are aware of what's going on politically today.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And that's going to trickle down. Remember, too big to fail. It's not just banks. It was the big three. It's right here, right now, and it's lining up with the 2024 and the change of seasons. You better be aware. So get your businesses prepped. Good advice, Jim.
Okay, so on the emotional rabbit hole I went down 10 minutes ago, I gave somewhat of a solution and a suggestion, and I'll just repeat. Pick up the book, Why Guys Need God by Mike Erre, E-R-R-E. I don't care if you're a parent, a man, or a woman. This book applies to everybody, despite the title. Okay, I've read it several times and bought a lot of copies. All right, so there is a solution to one portion of the problems that we've identified here. Okay, work ethic. If you are, I'll just use the example. If you're in IT and you heard this message and you say, man, you know what? I want to brush up my skills on sales and marketing. Well, guess what? Your solution is right now, you can go to youngentrepreneurs.syndicate.com and you can click on a calendar link to spend 20 minutes with Rod or myself or Rachel, no obligation, 20 minutes of our time to walk you through any questions you might have or advice you might be seeking, or just some one-on-one to learn a little bit more about marketing. And we're giving away some free tools, not only our time, so you can get 20 minutes of free business consulting through the link or some resources that we'll be happy to send you. Okay. As Rod said earlier, we want to help as many people as we can. That's why we started the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. That's why we do this show. We are here to help other people. So take advantage of that. So next year at this time, when you're in IT and there's layoffs and they're like, oh, we got to let go of the IT person. Hopefully you've taken the 20-minute offer, learned something about marketing or sales or operations. Between Rod, myself, and Rachel, we know a lot about just about everything within a corporate organization. And I can say that confidently because I've worked for a lot of companies. I've got the maturity. I paid the dummy tax. So has Rod, and so has Rachel. So Rod, what do you think? That's a pretty good offer, right?
It's one of those that's too good to refuse, right? Even if you're on the fence, make the call. Look at our website. Go there and see if there's not something that resonates with you. I promise you, you're going to find something that says, yes, I can use this.
And by the way, I'll just reiterate this. There's no catch. There's 20 minutes of free consultation from either one of us, any one of the three of us. Click on the link on the website, youngentrepreneurs.syndicate.com. For those of you that want a little bit more, we do have a great community there. We have business coaching calls every Monday. Find out more details at that website as well. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the show, share it. Rod, good to see you. Look forward
Good to see you, Jim.
I don't know, whatever's next to come. Back to the hard work for the day. Okay.
That's right. All right. See you soon.